Everything's weird, so nothing's weird anymore.
This is the story of me discovering my biological father. If you want to see part 1, click here. I kind of pointed up.
My name is Sam, this is my mom, Lauren, and then this is my sperm donor genetic father, Brian.
Hi.
The whole thing was funny because I was the one who found Brian and was doing this whole huge surge after it all. Now my brother was the person who was going to more events and everything because he lived in New York. Brian had gotten my brother and his fiance tickets to the US Open. Guess who else is going to be at the US Open? My mom. So we found out they're going to be there on the same day, and I was like, okay, spill the beans. Like, just say everything, tell her everything, like they're going to meet.
That Lauren was kind of caught off guard because her kids didn't tell her till the last minute that they were attending the tournament and that I would be there.
So they call her that day of the US Open and say that, oh, turns out we have met the donor. You know, we're actually going to the US Open tonight, and he's gonna be there. I knew I was gonna get in trouble for the text that I responded no to. In the same day, my mom found out who the donor was and that she was actually going to be meeting him.
At first I was angry just because they surprised me. I was overwhelmed. You're always concerned when new people enter your kids' lives because holidays are split already 3 ways, and now are they going to need to be split 4 ways because now there's a third parent. In that moment, you start to overthink it. I am always feeling a little threatened. If this DNA dad, donor dad, you know, he's really cool and he lives in New York and my son lives in New York and they can go and do things that are really fun and it's different, and it just was probably the least desirable environment that one could be in to ingest news like that.
We met up at the US Open at one of the breaks in the sets.
I couldn't stop staring at him because I saw physical characteristics of my kids from the second I looked at him.
So she told me that when she saw Brian, she saw those are Sam's eyes, kind of female version of those, mouth, and she has your hands. Since then, yes, I have looked at my hands. And I have a pinky that sticks out.
But then what was great is that I was able to get together at another brunch.
That was really nice to get to meet her and really got to know each other because it was just the 2 of us, and so we kind of talked for hours.
So very quickly I became very comfortable with him. I feel like we have a connection, a bond. We've become friends, which I think is great. I mean, we're both single and we both date, and it's really cool to have another, you know, guy friend.
After this brunch that, you know, Brian was super excited. He said that they were BFFs.
The day after the US Open, I told my close girlfriend. She said, oh my God, that's great, more to love. And I looked at her like she was crazy and said, are you, because I was still threatened. Then a few days later I said, you're right, that's a good way to look at it, more to love.
The whole thing was just cool, bizarre, I don't know what you want to call it, that our 2 genetic sources are now friends. I guess we're still navigating like what to call each other and everything. We're navigating social media even, like.
What does Brian want to be called?
I mean, we just call Brian Brian.
I just prefer to be called Brian.
And then, like, if I talk to friends, I don't know, the donor, usually donor, biological father, I reserve dad for my dad.
I mean, for 25 years, this was a secret. We just didn't tell anyone. The kids didn't even know. And now I'm very open to say, oh, my kid's donor. You know, I
actually just call him CB186.
That first moment that I met you at the US Open, immediately you started talking to me about stem cell, and I was trying to keep up with you.
One of the big questions is, does that DNA from somebody else incorporate into your genome? So no one's really quite been able to answer that question. It's been, 8 years since I did my first stem cell treatment. There's probably not a sample of my sperm still left in the freezer, okay? Well, there's none for sale anyway. I called over there to see if they had 1 dose left, and they don't. I would like to see if the HLA expression for me has changed before and after the stem cell treatment. So that would would give you some indication of whether the DNA from the stem cells incorporates into your own DNA or not.
So is there any way you can find out if your DNA has changed based on comparing it to mine?
No, not really, because you have DNA from two separate people, so it could just be from Lauren's contribution to your DNA code.
What if they compared the Y chromosome?
Okay, so if you only compared the
male,
Y chromosome, yeah, so I suppose they might be able to do that. Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
She's so smart. I wonder where she gets it all from. Which one? One of the reasons why we chose Brian were for, just some of the things that we could pick up on the application that are similar to her father. We were trying to find someone who had some commonality.
Now after meeting Brian, I can kind of piece together my nature versus nurture a little bit more and see actually how much nurture I've gotten from my dad to make me me, and then maybe just some nature aspects that have come from Brian, and then obviously my mom too. And I think I'm just this combo of all three sources.
In my opinion, best to always tell the truth and to be open. I would just suggest that anyone who finds themselves in a similar situation just try to embrace the positive. Don't be so threatened by it. I think this has just been a great way to expand our family.
For any other kid or young adult going through this, I would tell them, no one's replacing your parents, no one's replacing anyone. That it's just how you happen to be here, and you wouldn't exist otherwise. Like, you literally wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be the person you are without all of this. It makes you unique. In this day and age, we're gonna find out anyway. So you might as well be upfront and tell us.
There are a lot of surprises in life. This is a good one.
So do you have any advice for other sperm donors who are in the same situation?
I would just recommend that if they're comfortable, that they should release their information, because obviously I think it's been a really positive experience for me. I told the sperm bank that they could release my information, but they said I was the first person that had ever contacted them about that. So I said, well, maybe it'll change now that more people are doing this online DNA analysis. I sent in my ancestry DNA and my 23andMe, and then there's kids out there that I don't really know about, so maybe at some point they'll match up on this ancestry DNA or 23andMe.
I think that every kid has a right to know where they come from.
I think there are plenty of half-siblings out there who don't realize they're half-siblings. So
If parents don't tell their kids and their kids get DNA tests, they can find out by matching with other half-siblings. So then Ancestry DNA emailed me that there were updates. I go to check out DNA relatives. There's a new one that says close family to first cousin range. He's the same age as my brother. I kind of put two and two together. I'm like, okay, this could be the first half-sibling match. And I said, what?